I don't even really know how to say it, honestly. I guess you could call it, I was sexually abused as a kid. Um, didn't know what to think about it. I locked it away in my mind for a very long time, and it would resurface later when I was in middle school. I was introduced to pornography, and I got addicted very quickly to middle school on. This kid who was always going to church on Sunday, knew that there was a way he was supposed to live, but couldn't quite measure up, couldn't quite get there, and it was daunting. I wouldn't realize how much of this stemmed from what happened to me early on until much later. But I knew it was wrong, and I knew I wanted help, and no one was talking about it. No one would ever talk about it. And I think it was my junior or senior year, we went to church camp, the usual thing. If you grow up in a Christian home, oftentimes you go to a church camp, you get really excited for a week, come back, you vow to never go back to your old ways, and after a couple of weeks, you're right back to it. Senior year, it was this verse, Galatians 2:20. And the part that really stuck with me was, I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. But that verse showed me that it wasn't just me. It's not just me anymore when you have a life with Christ. There's a bigger power inside of you that you have to tap into, and the only way to do that is to follow God, to follow Christ, to depend on Him, and to ask Him to forgive you. So after that, you would think that the story ends and that my addiction was gone, but that's not true. After senior year, after all that died down, I ended up falling back into it. It just seemed like it was a continuous system that always happened. I went to this conference. It's called Acquire the Fire. And it's a conference where there's a lot of worship, a lot of sermons, a lot of sessions given about how to follow Christ. And it was at this place where it was offered me to go to an internship. It's called the Honor Academy. It's a whole year of trying to figure this Christianity thing out in a way that was different than just going to church on Sundays. And so I heard about this internship, and I wanted to go. And I wanted to find out what this thing called Christianity was, and how there are people who give up everything for Him. Because I didn't get that. So I went. Didn't make a lot of logical sense. No college credit, no nothing like that. While I was there, I really learned about Jesus. I learned so much more about this list of things that I had thought Christianity was, and realized that there really is a relationship there with Jesus, that there really is a grace that He gives those who call out to Him that just can't be measured. I have a relationship with Christ now that I get to have forever. And that's when it finally started. That's when it finally clicked and started making sense. Even after it made sense, and even after I really wanted to give Christ my all, I still fell to pornography. The reality of my life and my story is not that it's a one and done deal with Christ. It's an everyday thing. I told people at this the Honor Academy what was going on, and I had a lot of programs, restoration things that I went through. There were a lot of scriptures given to me, a lot of books that I needed to read just to help me, because I think finally at that point I saw how destructive pornography is, and it's not a quiet sin that only you deal with, because it affects people around you. It affects your opinion of people around you. It's not only that it's a sin, but it's also that God wants you to be free. And I wanted that freedom. come back, fast forward, I finished Honor Academy, come back. Still have no idea what I'm doing with my life, but know that my time there was done. So on my way back, I end up briefly falling into it again. And I just remember being so distraught about, I did this, I did all this stuff. I went as far as East Texas to a town that nobody knows to get this out of my life. And it just won't go. I got on my knees and I prayed. And I think I realized that it's not magic, it's a way of life. So once I figured that out, I took practical steps. I talked to people that I trusted. I told them I'm sick of this. I don't want it to keep happening. And we came up with ideas, simple ideas. Don't go to bed with phone in your bed. Doesn't sound very magical, but that's not what your walk with Christ is. Your walk with Christ is everything. It's in the mundane things. It's in the very practical things, but it's also in a way that can't be explained. And so all I can tell you is that desire left me. It was gone. It was different. Fast forward. I've married the woman of my dreams. I've been healed. But the best thing is that it's not a perfect life. It's a life of redemption. And that when you fall, when you mess up, even if people aren't there for you, God is there for you. And He's ready when you are. Galatians 2:20. I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself for me.